Hey, welcome back to Everyman Driver. This week, Alex and I are driving and reviewing the 2013 Acura TSX Sport Wagon, which really is a good mix of styling, sports performance, fuel economy, and utility.
Yeah, this is not your mom's station wagon. It used to be that sport and wagon went together like automotive journalist and smart, but Acura really did do a pretty good job with this car.
Coming up on this episode, we'll take it for a spin and tell you about its ride and handling. We'll go under the hood and talk about the specific performance of this engine, and Alex will tell you more about which vehicles compete with the TSX Sport Wagon.
All that coming up next. Everyman Driver starts now. The power plant in the 2013 TSX Sport Wagon is a 2.4 liter dual overhead cam, naturally aspirated VTEC 4-cylinder, good for 201 horsepower with 170 foot-pounds of torque. Now, Dave, that may not seem like much, but especially at low speeds, this thing's actually got a lot of get up and go.
As far as fuel economy at the pump, this is rated at 22 miles per gallon in the city and up to 30 miles per gallon on the highway, and that's one of their biggest selling points with the Sport Wagon is that 30 miles per gallon on the highway. In mixed driving, in real-world driving, I've been getting 22.4 miles per gallon, so very much on the low end of that. I have done some highway driving, but the majority of my 150, 160 miles of driving this week has been in the city, so I'm just a little disappointed. 22.4 in mixed driving.
Yeah, now this is actually the only engine offered in the Sport Wagon. If you want to get the regular TSX, you can get the V6, good for 280 horsepower, but one thing that the Everyman Driver Nation needs to remember is that a small engine working hard is going to be less efficient than a big engine that's working easy. So, you know, it could just be that this engine, although it feels good on the road, is slightly, you know, underpowered for this car, and that's why you're getting that bad fuel economy, that and that lead foot of yours.
Keep that in mind when you're shopping for a Sport Wagon. Some of the standard equipment here on the TSX Sport Wagon include a leather shift knob and steering wheel. You also have sport seats with perforated leather trim, so lots of leather inside here. Heated front seats. Let's talk about, though, the ride and handling, because it is a sport wagon, so sport is in the title. Does it feel sporty?
Absolutely. As I said in the under the hood segment, this engine feels a lot better than the numbers would suggest. It doesn't feel underpowered for this car. It doesn't feel overpowered either. This isn't a rocket, but the steering in the car is really nice. Ride is really good, soaks up the bumps, and as you said, it just feels like you're driving a sedan. You know, you don't feel any of the extra weight or the extra bulk. So I think it feels great. I've been really impressed.
For people who keep track of this, the weight of this vehicle is right around 3,600 pounds. It seats 5 people. You still got plenty of room in the back, so I think it seems like a decent amount of weight for this vehicle. It doesn't feel heavy going around corners. It feels light to the steering wheel to me.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of these crossovers that we drive feel a lot more like SUVs than they do like sedans. This absolutely feels and drives a lot more like a sedan. Also, because we bring this up a lot, the paddle shifters in this car actually work. Electronic steering, really solid. And the instrument panel here is really good, Dave. You know that I'm a stickler for this sort of stuff. 2 really easy to read, big gauges, and the little screen that they usually stick right in my line of sight, they've actually incorporated right into the speedometer. So overall, love the gauges, and unlike some of the Hondas that we test, where I feel like the gauges look too futuristic for the rest of the dash, these gauges are right at home, and they've got this really cool deal where the mechanism that moves the gauge is actually along the outside, so it looks like the gauge isn't connected to anything.
It's like almost floating, huh?
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to show that on camera. It's a really cool effect. And a lot of the Acuras that we've tested tend to have pretty cluttered dashes and steering wheels. This one does still feel a little cluttered to me. I'm not saying it is, but it feels that way, including the steering wheel, but not as bad as the TL that we've tested previously.
Yeah, the center stack to me, I know people have said this on our YouTube channel, you can get used to all the buttons. This one doesn't seem as cluttered as previous Acuras. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the different layout, but it does seem like this is an appropriate amount of buttons, even though there's still a lot of them. And I really like how deep set this LCD screen is for your navigation system. It's deep enough to where actually I've been holding putting down my phone or putting some extra keys up here. It's like an extra dash. Yeah,
Honda has, from all the cars that we've tested, the deepest screen in, and it makes it so easy to see, especially we're kind of on a sunny and cloudy day, varying conditions, and when we're in the sun, there's absolutely no glare on that screen. So overall, when it comes to the interior, this is super solid. Can't complain.
The Acura Sports Wagon really does offer a good mix of utility for couples and families who enjoy an active lifestyle, and the cargo area is a spot I think you'll get the most bang for your buck. We're talking about 31 cubic feet of volume right here, but if you fold the seats down, more than 66 cubic feet of volume.
Yeah, tons of cargo space, obviously, where having the wagon is awesome, and also there are tons of little nooks and crannies and special hiding spots. You could store all sorts of goodies. Now, this doesn't come with a spare tire, but it does come with a really nice flat repair kit. Everything right here, all in one, everything you need.
And that's going to save on overall weight of the vehicle, which in turn is where they're going to get some of that good gas mileage, or at least attain some of the higher gas mileage.
Yeah, absolutely. And with these seats down, Dave, there really is there's tons of room. People, even with these sports wagons as opposed to mom and dad's old station wagon, I don't think they oftentimes realize how much room there is on the inside. From the outside, they still are starting to look a lot better, but room galore.
Yeah, that's great.
Let's check out the back, see what it looks like. Well, Dave, up front, the TSX is a very nice place to be. Headroom is pretty standard, I would say, with most sedans or other wagons out there. Leather seats, airbags galore. Isn't much to complain about. How's it back there?
Well, I do like this leather interior. You're about 6 feet tall. I'm just about 5'11"-ish. So you can see in real world conditions, this is where my legs would be behind Alex. And I'm just right there with my knees touching the seat. Headroom, gosh, I don't know. I feel like it could be a little bit more here. Not much of an indent. I can feel the roof slope a little bit for my head, but I don't know. It's fine, it's adequate. I wouldn't say it's fantastic, even though this does haul 5 people. I think it's okay.
Yeah, definitely for younger kids, there's going to be enough room. If you're hauling a bunch of adults around, could be a little cramped.
The MSRP here in the 2013 Acura TSX Sport Wagon is $31,800. For an extra $3,000, like our tester has, you can have the tech package. So considering this is a entry-level luxury wagon, Alex, how does it stack up to the competition, and would you buy one?
I would actually buy one. I like this car a lot. My personal favorite is the Audi Allroad. Just came back for 2013. You can get into one for under 40 grand, so definitely more money than this, but you are going to get, more cars, so to speak. The offerings from BMW and Mercedes are nice, but again, significantly more money. This is really a great car. Blends utility and drivability, of a sedan really well. And certainly I would take this over some of these really small crossovers that ultimately don't give you a lot of utility or a great driving experience. So definitely, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it offers some good sports handling for a smaller vehicle. I mean, you feel like you're driving a normal sedan, and you just happen to have some extra space here in the back. I think it does cater, though, to a certain audience, because you are in between the sedans and the mini crossovers or SUVs. So that might have to be a deciding factor for you on what are you willing to compromise in a sport wagon versus a crossover or a flat-out sedan?
Yeah, with all these cars, you aren't going to get everything. You know, a lot of these cars nowadays are trying to be everything to everybody and they end up being nothing to nobody. But this car really is an awesome option, and I feel like more Americans should look at wagons as opposed to some of these small SUVs. If you look at the numbers and everything, they just make more sense, but still there's a stigma around the wagon that's lasted for a long time, and I hope we come out of it.
That'll do it for this episode of Everyman Driver. Alongside Alex DeFries, I'm Dave Erickson. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.